I'm starting in a section at stair, and the detail I want to create is going to be of the stair landing condition. So I'm going to zoom in generally in that area, and then I'm going to create a callout view of that location. So you may recall that the callout view has two options, rectangle and sketch. In this case, rectangle will work just fine. We don't need to sketch any kind of a custom shape. So I'm just going to make a rather generous rectangle here initially of the area in question. And then over here, you'll see the callout bubble appears as it normally does. And of course, we can open this view in a couple ways. You can double click the bubble. You can right click it here and choose go to view. And you can also locate it on the project browser and double click it there. So now I'm going to double click my stair landing detail. That's going to open it up. And what I want to show you is the most obvious thing that changed was back here in the original stair section, we were working at 1/8 inch equals a foot in imperial or 1 to 100 in metric. And now you can see the call out came in at twice that, 1/4 inch equals a foot imperial or 1 to 50 in metric. Now I think for a detail like this, we probably want to increase that scale even further. So I'm going to go to 1.5 inch equals a foot imperial or 1 to 10 in metric. And the obvious thing that you'll see change in the view when we do that is the grid line here will get significantly smaller. Okay. Now, if we zoom in, another thing that has changed is the line weights have adjusted to match this scale. But if you zoom in close enough, you will see that where we're slicing through the stair is bolder than where we're looking at the stair beyond off in the distance. Okay, so the line weights are still being applied. It's just that you typically have to zoom in a little closer to see them. Okay. We've now got our basic callout. We've named it. We've set the scale. Now let's consider what the callout is showing. There's a lot of geometry visible in this view that I really don't need to see. Okay, so notice that there are some curtain wall mullions here, and there's some other similar pieces of geometry here. There's a stacked wall. Even this grid line, quite honestly, doesn't really contribute anything to a stair landing detail. First instinct might be to select the elements and go to visibility graphics and hide that category, or use the light bulb here and choose hide category. And if you're going to hide things, then definitely hiding them by category would be preferable over hiding by element. But remember what we talked about back in the chapter on visibility. Don't start with how, in other words, hiding things or changing the way they look graphically. Start with what. What should be displayed in the view, and establish that first. And then if you get to a point where the elements that are displayed in the view aren't displayed correctly, then you can adjust how they display. So the issue isn't that we want to see mullions, but these mullions aren't displayed correctly. We don't want to see these mullions at all. So is there some way that we can remove them from the view entirely without having to change the graphical settings? And it turns out the easiest solution is to consider the crop itself. When I created this callout, I made it rather large, but you can come back and select this crop rectangle. It's got these little grip controls on it, and you are able to start adjusting this in all directions to control what's being seen in this view. Now, notice over here on the right, we can easily compress that in and remove all of that extraneous geometry off to the right without hiding anything. So we don't have to now figure out what categories to hide or anything like that. We're simply going to crop in closer so that we're focusing on what's important for this detail. Now, that takes care of the stuff off to the sides, but we're still seeing some of these mullions off in the distance. Well, remember that crop regions are not two-dimensional, they're actually three-dimensional. So the extent of the view is a three-dimensional extent. So in addition to the width and the height, we've got a depth here. And you can adjust the depth on properties. So we're going to scroll down here on the properties palette. And in the extents area, you're looking for the far clipped settings. Now, the far clip offset is what we want to change, but notice that that's grayed out. And the reason it's grayed out is because the far clip settings can either be same as the parent view, the original view that we cut the callout from, or they can be independent. So that's what we want to do. We want to make this view independent, and now that allows us to select and modify the far clip offset. Now you can put in any value you want here. Let's put in something really dramatic like 6 inches in imperial or 150 millimeters in metric. And that's probably a little too much, right? Notice that I've certainly focused on the landing, but I've cropped out everything else. I'm not seeing any part of the stair, and we might want to see some of the stair for context, right? So you can essentially take an educated guess here and do a little trial and error. I've done that, and 4 feet in imperial or 1200 millimeters in metric works pretty well. And that crops out any of the geometry that's off in the distance that I don't care about, but it shows me enough of the stair that we've got the context we need for this detail display. Okay, so we've now established the model extents, but there's a second rectangle surrounding this with a dashed line, and that is the annotation extents. So callouts actually have 2 crop regions. So the inner one, as you can see, is cropping the model. But what this outer one is doing, it only applies to annotation. And the easiest way to understand that is to just place some annotation. So I'm going to go to my text tool. I'll do a piece of text without leader. I'm just going to click in the middle of the screen somewhere and type a note that we can use later, like stair nosing, and I'll click away from it and then click modify to cancel. Now I'm going to grab that note. Let's zoom in just a touch so we can see this a little better. And using the little grip control on there, I'm going to start to drag it out toward the edge. Now, as long as you keep it within that dashed box, it will continue to display. But as soon as any part of that note touches the dashed box or goes beyond it, it will disappear. And that's what the annotation crop is designed to do. So, of course, you could select this and just widen that annotation crop and the note will come back again. But you can also ask the question, do I really need an annotation crop in this detail? It turns on by default, but you don't have to leave it on. And I don't think it really contributes much to this detail. So I'm going to scroll down here to extents, and annotation crop is right there. Just simply uncheck it. That dash box will disappear. And now this stair note can go anywhere that I'd like it to go, and it will not be cropped from the view. Now, they do represent real model elements, so they are drawn to scale at the correct size, but they're only going to appear in the view that you draw them in. So we're going to start off by adding a couple that are already loaded here in this file, and then we'll load a few additional ones from the Autodesk library. So I'm going to go to the Annotate tab. And the component button is a drop-down button which has 3 options, and it's possible that it might be set to one of the other options if you use that command last. So just make sure you're choosing this top option here, Detail Component. Then over here on the type selector, I'm going to choose this C shapes in section. I've already preloaded this, and there's just one size in the file. In Imperial, it's a C6 by 10.5. In metric, it is C255 by 45. So go ahead and choose that. And it won't appear out here because even though it's a 2D view specific element, it's still considered part of the model. So you need to move into the model view and place it somewhere. And I'm just going to kind of place it slightly overlapping that stair stringer right there. It's not important that you get it precise, just kind of place it roughly on screen for now. Go right back to the type selector, and there's another family in there called break line. Choose that next, and again, kind of move your mouse into the view window. And this is just a flourish for the detail. This is just sort of graphics. It allows you to kind of indicate that the view continues off screen, right? So it's just a standard kind of break mark thing. You can tap the space bar to rotate that in 90-degree increments. So I want to rotate it vertically, and I'm going to place it over here somewhere toward the left-hand side, and I want it just inside the crop region like so. Now I'm going to click the modify tool to cancel out of there, and then notice that this break mark has some grip controls. So we can stretch it down here and up here so that it goes the full length of the detail. And then you can even adjust the shape of that little zigzag component there. I usually like to do that here on the properties palette by just typing in numbers. So this number left and right, those are the grips that I just stretched to change the length of the overall. But here, the jag depth and jag width is what you can adjust to start changing the proportion of the shape of the little zigzag shape there. So I'm going to reduce the width just a little bit. I'd like it to be a little narrower. So I'm going to use the same number for the depth, 2 inches imperial or 50 millimeters in metric should be pretty close. And then there's that break mark. Now, to really understand what that's going to look like, you might want to toggle off the visibility of the crop region. And so that's what it will look like in the final effect there. You'll just sort of have that break mark on the end. Now, if you want to add an additional one here at the bottom edge and along the top edge, you're welcome to do so. But I'm going to skip that for now and move on to some additional detailed components. So I'm going to zoom in just a touch here. And we're going to place two more, and we're going to go to the Insert tab to do this. And I'm going to use the Load Autodesk family. So we've been here before. The first thing that you want to do is make sure that you're choosing the correct settings here for the little globe. So I'm in the English language and United States Imperial. There's also United States metric and other locations. So choose the appropriate one for your preferences and what units you're working in. And then once I've done that, we can see that there's a detailed items entry over here on the left-hand side. Now you can browse through the folder structure here to locate the item you want. The item I want is in the steel folder, so it's under metals, and you've got structural steel framing, and there's AISC 14 and 15, so it's under AISC 15. And then finally, you can see a variety of different steel shapes. So we can browse to it that way. Of course, another way you can get there is to just simply search for it. So if I start searching for angle here, and that's going to make it a little simpler to find what we're looking for. So notice there's two angles here, one with unequal sides and one with equal sides. We're going to go with the equal sides, and then because these are 2D components, you're going to have three versions of each one. So there's a section cut, there's a side view, and a top view. So for this example, we're going to use a side view. So select the equal angles side, and when you load this, this family has a type catalog. Now, we've looked at type catalogs before, but just to remind you what they are, this is just a list of available types within this family. And I'm going to expand this a little bit bigger so that we can see more of the list. And notice that there are lots of sizes to choose from. So rather than load all of this and clutter up the file with a lot of stuff we don't need, you can focus on just the type or types that you're interested in. So in our case, we just want one for this example, but you can use the control key and select more than one if appropriate. But I'm just going to select the L 2x2 by 1/8 in Imperial, or it is 51 by 51 by 3.2 in metric. So just choose that one size, click OK to load it, and then go back to the component tool. It should already be on your cursor here now on the properties palette. Now this family in the Imperial file is a 2-pick family, meaning that you're going to click the start point and then the end point to draw out the length. If you're working in metric, you're just going to click and it's going to come in at a standard length. But in either case, when you're done, you can click the modify tool, come back and select the element that you've drawn, and then you can change the length using the temporary dimension. So let's use 6 inches Imperial or 150 millimeters in metric. Now, I'm going to take this thing and just sort of move it a little bit like so. And what I want you to see about all these components is they're similar to the break mark. They all have a mask behind them that starts to cover up the model geometry in the distance. And that's really one of the built-in features of detail components. You're embellishing your model with these two-dimensional components which show more detail. So naturally you want them to cover up the model so that you don't see that model geometry coming through. We're going to leave these randomly placed for now and adjust their positions in a future video. So for now, just having them placed in at the correct size is all we need. And we just need one more detail component. So let's go back to Insert, Load Autodesk Family. And this time, I'm going to clear the search here. And I'm going to go back to the Detail Items branch so that I'm seeing all detail items. And then I'm going to search for the word stair. Now, when you do and press enter, all of these items pertain to stairs, and there's one called Stair Steel Pan in Section. That's the one we want to load in. Now, this one does not have a type catalog, so when it loads, it's a much simpler family with really only one type, and if you go to component, it will put it on your cursor, and all you want to do is just kind of line it up with the top of one of the existing treads in the stair. Click the modify tool to cancel. And then I'm going to go ahead and move this one into position using the move tool and this endpoint at the back of the tread there and snap it right to that location.